everything from tragedy to comedy to lewdness. It's very fast, it's very funny a lot of the time, it's very rude, it's very racy, it's very tragic and touching. I just like the variety, and if I was an audience member, that's what I would, that's why I would go and see it, because I think it's very, very entertaining.
I think it also shows an extraordinary comradeship between women of that era, obviously because they had to fight quite hard to get on the stage, and it was quite a difficult thing as men had played the parts previously.
And what do they get out of being on the stage together?
Huge team players, a sense of seniority, I would think, over some people, I would imagine.
And also maybe something they don't get in their other
Daily
domestic
lives.
daily lives, which is power.
There are two versions, one an all-female one and the one that we're doing with chaps in. So why do this one?
Well, I think it always was going to add something just by making it richer and more balanced. But I think it also adds kind of at various times a lot of other things too. I think James's presence as a foil for these women. I love the moments when he is really quite powerless amongst them, and that obviously is much stronger and more visual if he is physically there.
I think David talked about them being Aunt Sally's there to be knocked down. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah,
as
definitely.
I
think that's a joyful part of the play. Yeah, when they're weak and they meet their comeuppance.
The style we've adopted for this one is largely naturalistic. However, we have found ways of putting exciting things in. Natasha, could you explain, given that you're doing a lot of it, how this style will be different from a previous play you've done?
It uses a lot more physical theatre, but not just for the whole play. It varies throughout. So we've got scenes that seem very natural, and then suddenly it kind of warps and changes into something. It can be really twisted or really depressing, or it just changes the tone instantly, just using physical theatre instead of doing the whole thing naturally.
I think in a fun way, I hope, not an off-putting, deeply off-putting way.
It feels like this is what we're doing. We are showing what we're like, what they were like on stage, just throughout. I don't know, the bits like in the dressing room where we start like with the witches scene, where we all just suddenly start acting, whereas it's sort of a personal in the dressing room. I really like that. I think it adds that on-stage feel of back.
Has it? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's maybe quite a nice reflection of the atmosphere in a theatre at that time, which was completely different from the very restrained way everybody behaves on stage and off. On the whole now, the chaos.
Really?
Not on stage, but I think that physicality, that sort of chaos of the physicality, is a really nice reflection of what it probably felt like.
Has it been physically demanding?
Theatre.
Yes.
What at times? What have been the most physically demanding aspects?
I think trying to choreograph some of the moves and trying to work out what it means within the scene and why you're doing it, and points of reference.
Points of contact.
That is my new password now.
Points of contact, basically how you link your character to someone else's through movement and physicality, not just through speech, and that can be in a very naturalistic way of just touch, or it can be, as we've done it in a lot of places, it changes your character, doesn't it? And it can change the relationship between your characters very quickly as well, rather than just using the tone of your voice.
Okay.
You use your actual physical self.
I like Widow Well-Fed.
I was going to say that.
Well, that's fun to do.
Can you explain that to the viewing audience?
A scene between Cal and Kate where Cal's playing Widow Well-Fed and you're Squire Squeamish, is that right? And basically, Widow Well-Fed's talking about how he's going to eat Squire Squeamish, and it's just it's really fun to see.
Butts very well.
Yeah,
she does.
That's a really good selling point. Is that you get a lot of value for money. That's what you get.
In terms of what?
Well, because you're seeing about 5 different plays.
Yeah.
You're seeing Playhouse Creatures, but you're also seeing a bit of, you know, that kind of stuff, a bit of Shakespeare, a bit of
So the
melodrama,
characters acting
a
and
bit
not
of,
just the
yeah,
it's not
Genuine,
just the-
like you're just learning about how it actually was in those days where
yeah.
actresses started acting. And
Actually, that's why it's been quite complicated, because you're playing actresses
Mhm.
on stage, being actresses, pretending
Yeah.
to be very melodramatic.
Yeah.
You do that
The
full
style
style
of,
and
yeah.
that is where it's really tricky for you lot, I think.
Go through lots of different
Yeah,
stages
and
as
layers.
one person, as one character.
Is it worth mentioning the brilliance of Tabitha at this point? While we're
always
talking
worth
about
mentioning.
sewing,
Barry.
well, indeed, not just of Mrs. Barry, but of Mrs. Barry's sewing skills.
Oh yes.
Can you explain that?
Thank goodness. Do go ahead.
there'll be very cool costumes.
Because
She's handmade them all,
Handmade.
basically. She's sat
Proper
spent
restoration.
time
Yeah.
sewing
Yeah.
costumes and just put a lot of
Still
research
making
into it.
you see, we have spared no
Real
expense.
deal. It's
Ex-
just a question of whether anyone could still breathe.
What's it like?
Irrelevant.
What's it like in the corsets? I mean, because you're in
Dunno,
17th
put it
century
on, yeah.
dress. I mean, you haven't experienced the delights of yours. You have, Tash.
It's just to stop me slouch. It stops you slouching.
Yeah.
Makes you sit up straight, and it just makes you feel more elegant. I think more graceful, because you do have to sit up properly. Otherwise, you get wire digging in your side. And
Have you found that you could move a lot more than you thought you could, or not?
yeah, actually, I thought I wouldn't be able to bend as much, sideways as well, and like, but a lot of the movements have actually been okay. But it just digs in.
It helps you get more into your character as well.
It
So you
does.
feel
It
you
does.
feel
Yeah.
17th century.
Yeah.
In costume.
And then with the big dresses.
And of course, we found that Catherine could do a forward roll in a corset,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
Over
which is-
George's head.
which is you see
Rather
all of the
proud
delights of
of.
things. If you come and see this play, the things that you will
Come
see.
the play.
Yes, come and see the play. I think we'll end it there.